And welcome back to yet another Buffalo Bills pregame show. As promised, we reserve the right to come back at any time we so choose. And so we are back for the big matchup in Week 3, Buffalo Bills versus the Washington football team. An interesting matchup because we are not playing the NFC East at all this year other than Washington football team. But this is the joys or despair of the 17-week season, is that we will not have a nice continuity of playing only teams in the same division, except for people who end in the same division in our conference. Anyway, the beauty of the NFL schedule is spoiled by leaving this 16-week format, and such is the life of us mere fans when billionaires have more money to make. Josh Allen has performed up and down so far this season. We are 1-1, facing what was perceived as a very good defense in Week 1 against Pittsburgh, kind of sputtered, and then in a 35-0 victory seems to have not impressed Bills fans, ? So I'll let you start off here by talking about Josh Allen's performance for the first two games, and QB rating of 77, is that appropriate for a 1-1 quarterback, or should we expect more?
Well, he's certainly not playing the first two games like what we saw from him last year, but, it's hard to complain about a 35-0 win. He didn't play amazing. It wasn't like, how he was playing last year. I think it was Week 2 they were playing against the Rams. It didn't look anything like that, Josh Allen, but it was certainly good enough to win. I do think he did play better than how he played against the Steelers. There was a couple throws I think he made that game that he didn't against the Steelers, like that one to Emmanuel Sanders. But, I think for how good the defense played, I think there's not too much that I can complain about with how he played. I think they still have time to get it together and continue what they did last year, but I'm not too worried about it. I think he'll be fine.
My personal sporting experience goes back half a lifetime now, and it certainly did not achieve the level of the NFL competitively. But I do remember having a tough time staying competitive and being really sharp in games where our team was just blowing away the opponent. There becomes a point where when there doesn't seem to be any threat from the other side to come back whatsoever, that it's just hard to go out there and give your peak performance every time. And especially even play calling is impossible to say it's not affected when the other team, is down 3 touchdowns, 4 touchdowns. You're not going to be aggressively calling plays that would lead to padded stats. I mean, we didn't need anything better than an average quarterback rating and a blowout victory. And honestly, I would have been just as happy if Trubisky had seen a lot more playing time than otherwise. So I'm not going to sit here and look at the stat sheet and be like, well, this, doth not a MVP career or season make. And if that was the end goal of the season, I guess there'd be reason to be mad. But I think here in Buffalo, we'd much rather see a Super Bowl than a league MVP. So who cares is kind of the opinion I have. And I've just really been shocked all week to hear people's reaction to Josh's their perceived underwhelmment to Josh's performance. To go back a few years, in 2012, we also started 1-1, where we were beat by the Jets in the season opener, and then came back the next week and crushed the Chiefs, much the way this has gone on this year. And in that season, we ended up only being 6-10. So when you think about which of the Bills' games is more representative of how they'll play going down the season, do you put more credence in the performance against the Steelers or the blowout victory against the Miami?
Well, I might be biased, but I think I'm going to have to look more into last week's game against the Dolphins. Week 1, a lot of strange things can happen. You might have good teams that don't play as well. A lot of teams that aren't going to end up being great they might pull out a win Week 1. I mean, last year, Tom Brady did not look great. His first game with the Buccaneers against the Saints, and look how they ended up. So I'm going to have to look more into how they play against a division rival, a team where they both know each other really well and just dominated on every aspect of the game. I think the Steelers are a decent team, and obviously they were able to shut Josh Allen down, but then come Week 2 they weren't able to stop Derek Carr. So I think I'm going to have to look more into the Bills and Dolphins game.
Well, I think if you're looking at how, like, if we play the Steelers again, it won't be again until the playoffs. We are going to play Miami either, no matter what, this season. And you know that those Miami players are going to spend that week dreading the game coming against the Bills. So I think, like, in the mental game, we have a big victory in terms of that. But late career Ben Roethlisberger has also proved that he doesn't have 16 games in him, let alone 17. Like, we literally caught him at like the peak freshness week 1, and probably what will end up being one of the best performances of this season, if not like the last few years of his career. So if we do end up facing the Steelers again, it will not be with a quarterback of the caliber that we faced in week 1. So I think we are more likely to see a performance more similar to the Miami game as well. So I think we're in agreement in that regard. Focusing on this game upcoming against the Washington football team specifically, offensively, a 35-0 game, which seemed like we did kind of what we wanted to when we wanted to. Do you expect us to still have as balanced an attack as we did before, or are we going to go back to more of a passing offense to take on what seems to be a struggling Washington football team defense?
So I think Josh Allen, from what it seemed to me, is that there was open guys throughout the game. That Josh Allen didn't hit every single one of them, but seemed like guys were getting open. So I think they're gonna try Josh Allen a decent amount, but at the same time, the Bills also showed they can run the ball. One of the first plays of the offensive drives against Miami was a 40-something yard run by Singletary, and then they showed that Zach Moss is great down at the goal line. So I think you're gonna see a mix this game. I think the first 2 games there was a lot of passing with a little bit of running against the Dolphins, but I think you're going to see a different kind of game against Washington.
Zach Moss goes from not even getting dressed in week 1 to 2 touchdowns in week 2. He made it awfully hard for the coaching staff to leave him off the roster going forward. Other side of the ball, Taylor Heinicke played very well, stepping in for a hurt Fitzpatrick. Is Fitz about to lose yet another job in the NFL?
So I think Heinicke has been impressive when he's played. He did pretty well in the playoff game last year against Tampa. But I think the way that the Bills' defense has played the first 2 games, there's no reason that I should think that they're not going to be able to do the same thing to him. And that goes for whether it's going to be Tyrod the week after or Davis Mills. I think the Bills are going to have a lot of a lot of practice for the weeks after, where they're playing Patrick Mahomes and Ryan Tannehill. So I think the Bills' defense should be able to slow down that offense.
You brought up Tyrod. Going into week 1, we thought we were going to have matchups in the first 4 weeks against back-to-back against Fitzpatrick and Tyrod Taylor. Just making me think of times of yours. For our topic of discussion today, and I'll answer first, give you a minute to think about it, but topic of discussion, who is your favorite Bills quarterback of the playoff drought? Mine's a little specific to me because I had a chance to work for Brad Ryder on his as an intern on his radio show, and Ruben Brown used to come in every week. And this one was when Kyle Orton was the quarterback for the Bills, and Ruben Brown told me that behind the scenes that Kyle Orton is a huge deadhead, which I am as well. So I just wanted Kyle Orton to do so well for the Bills, and the Bills, they didn't deserve Kyle Orton, and he just decided that he'd rather not play football to return to the Bills franchise. And I think it is such a beautiful metaphor and representation of the futility of being a Bills fan for the drought. So I think selfishly, for selfish reasons and like representatively, Orton will be my favorite quarterback of the drought. Any fond memories of those awful days for you?
I guess it would be a toss-up for me between Tyrod and Fitzpatrick. Tyrod, I feel like, was very underappreciated his time in Buffalo, and he also, was there with end of the drought, and he dealt with a lot of bad offenses and made them from terrible to still bad, but exciting to watch with what he was able to do with his legs. I think he had some exciting memories, and obviously we broke the drought. But at the same time, Fitzpatrick was also he was slinging it for a while. You know, there was a couple of years where it was really the defense that was the problem. So I don't know. I think that's a toss-up. I think I have to go with Tyrod though.
Fitz got the extension. Not a lot of the quarterbacks between Bledsoe and Tyrod got the extension, so kudos to him for that. But I don't know if you knew this. He went to Harvard. All right, back to the game against the football team. Who do you think's going to win?
So I'm going to go with, I think the Bills are going to keep rolling. I'm going to put it at 27-13 Bills.
Huzzah! All right, good game. All right, I have the Bills scoring a lot of points too. I'll make it 27-20. Buffalo wins, and let's just hope that the season rolls on. I predicted 15-1-1, and you can't go 15-1-1 without losing one game. So we're on pace as far as I'm concerned for that Super Bowl victory. So we will be back in 2 weeks for the Chiefs game. You can count on that. And until then, go Bills.